Do you wonder about past lives? Have you ever thought about where your soul has been, where it's going, or what lessons and memories have been gathered along the way? In this podcast, we will discuss past life memories, psychic phenomena, energy healing, and other metaphysical topics with experts and the average person to find out how we can heal through these experiences. So I invite you to join me on my journey. Welcome to the Regression Session. Some of them are like, I already have a power, so I don't need one. And I'm like, really? You're going to be that boring right now? Welcome back to the Regression Session. My name is Ian. Welcome to the Regression Session to all the new people. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. Couple announcements before I get started. I have started farting around on Instagram. So if you guys want to check out my Insta. Oh my God, that's so bad. But if you want to check me out there, I post a bunch of memes, trying to keep it fresh. Check me out on all my social medias. There's a link in the description right where it says share the podcast. It's just a link tree, so you can share all of my links and find all of my links. Anyway, this week we're going to be hearing from Cathy, and Cathy is a spiritual guide and teacher with a focus on soul healing and energy healing. She uses methods such as past life regression, QHHT, regular plain old hypnotherapy, and something that she calls emotional recognition therapy. And the goal with all of these is to assist people in cultivating emotional mastery and foster closure with emotional wounds of the past, which is fantastic. That's really the core essence of my show. And one more thing, if you want to come on to my podcast, you want to come on the show, talk with me about your past life experiences, your regression experience, or your knowledge on any metaphysical topic, shoot me an email. My email is theregressionsession@gmail.com. And here is my lovely conversation with Cathy. Okay, and you go by Cathy, not Catherine.
I do. I go by Cathy. And I'll tell you, I actually have a reason why this is. So my name is Catherine. I love it. It's a beautiful name. The spelling to me is so beautiful. It's Catherine. And I decided when I got into the more soulful work, because I started off in the healing industry with being a massage therapist and doing the energy healing. But I thought, okay, so I'm all of a sudden, I'm working with people now a little differently. Now I'm going to create a business, and I feel like I should have more professional demeanor for me because it helps me do what I do. So I thought, Catherine, what a gorgeous name. Like, my name is Catherine. So people started calling me Catherine, and then they would say, oh, do you go by Cathy, or do you want me to call you Catherine? And I thought that was really weird. I said, but I'm introducing myself as Catherine. Why would they come back to me and say, oh, do you like to go by Cathy or Catherine? I'm thinking, if I wanted Cathy, I would have just said, hi, my name is Cathy. So I started getting this a lot of times. And then I would notice that when I embody that Catherine energy, there's something more refined and regal that just naturally comes up in me. And I didn't find myself connecting more on that playful side. She kind of went to Cathy kind of hung out in the back, and Cathy's fun. Cathy can play. She wants to just, get real with people, right? But Catherine, not so much. No, let's not go there. And so I said, God, I can't even connect with my clients the way that I normally would. And I have to be able to get raw and real and just, hey, I'm a person, you're a person. Let's do this, right? Catherine couldn't. So I said, you got to go to the back now, Catherine. Only be a signature. Because that's all you can do is just sign your papers to Catherine. That's how we get to use you now. But
And then Cathy was born.
and well, Cathy came back because Cathy was always here. As a young child, I was only Catherine when I'm in trouble. So I thought, well, that's why I wanted to use Catherine where I'm not in trouble. And it's being used professionally. It's on my cards. It looks really pretty. But that was short-lived. Cathy had to come back to the table and let's have some fun.
That's very interesting. It's all about reframing.
So yes, Cathy is what we're going to be calling me.
Okay.
Reframing, yeah.
Perfect. Cathy, my name's Ian.
It's so good to have you here, Ian. I'm really very excited about this opportunity and feel very honored to be able to have connected and want you to have me on the show. So I'm glad that you're here. Thanks.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I've been looking for, I've sponsored so many other hypnosis practitioners or energy healers or whatever you want to call yourself.
Right? So many titles.
So many different things.
So many titles. So what do we do with them?
I don't know. There's too many. I just call myself a spiritual hypnotist.
I find that as we journey as a healer, because I know all in all, that's what I came to do, is to do healing and help people shine their light. How I choose to do that is up to me. But I found that the more I journeyed, we're trying, as usually, not just me, but overall, for many practitioners and healers, we want to learn this modality, that modality, and we just want to get our hands in so many things and have all these titles and say, I'm certified in this, I can do that. But at the end of the day, I just found that they're just really stepping stones. And so we can have a mixed bag and it comes out when it needs to come out. But at the end of the day, you can have so many things that you're doing but it becomes a melting pot. And so what are we going to call ourselves? We have a hub and then all these branches, but we tend to get a lot of titles. I'm sure you found yourself practicing and learning many different things besides just hypnosis as well.
Yeah, I do. But I just still call myself a spiritual hypnotist, just to keep it simple. So before we get too deep into it, I would like for you, Cathy, to give me as much background as you're comfortable with about maybe your beliefs coming up through life, the shift of okay, there's another side to this massage therapy stuff that people don't really talk about as much or whatever. I would love to hear the origin story of Cathy.
Well, I would like to share it, so thank you. It's not too often I get to share an origin story. I'm in the middle of my own Marvel.
There you go.
I'm a spin-off right now to an origin story. So, kind of just a background about me and how I even ventured up till now. Starts before the massage therapy. It really begins when I'm a child. And I knew from the age of 5, I was really, really connected and navigated and just was very attracted to the occult and like the paranormal. So, I mean, I'm the girl who is like playing with her friends saying, hey, pretend I'm a witch. Okay, I'm a witch and I don't know what you are, but just so you know, I'm a witch. That's all that matters. And most of the TV shows or anything that I'm being attracted to have to do with like witchcraft especially. But I just had this understanding that there was something more outside of the norm. I remember as a child and in elementary, and I'm again playing, there was a knowingness that I had the ability to manipulate energy. And I would do it through like incantations, just playing around. But I felt like I could think and manipulate energy. That's just something I'm like, okay, I can do. And I remember one time looking at my hands, and I don't know why I said this, but I remember looking at my hands and saying, because I know, the ability, I could move very subtly sensations in my hands and like just move, like touch something and purposely move parts of my hands so subtly that only I could tell, or the object that I was touching. And I said to myself, I looked at my hands, and I'm probably about 8 or 9. And I said, I wonder if these hands will ever be used. Like, if anybody will ever know about them. And that was that. I didn't understand exactly what I was saying. I just was something that I remember, it was imprinted in me. Fast forward, now I'm a teenager, and now I'm wanting to dabble into more of the darker stuff, the dark, just the occult side, that paranormal and
You
ghosts.
got edgy.
I did. I got real edgy. And my upbringing, I was brought up in a Christian home, so we were more that Baptist type of upbringing. So it was not of the culture here in Utah, but because my parents are not from here. I'm the only one who was born here. So we had just a different upbringing, but it was very Christian based. Jesus, God, prayer, this and that. But I just remember knowing that my mom wasn't okay with it, but she was supportive of me learning and trying to feel my way around. So that was cool. I was like, thank you for letting me be me and experiencing the other side. But there got to be a time when I knew that I needed to stop, because I was bringing them things that I shouldn't be bringing in. Very lower realm. At that time, I was not awake, spiritually awakened. I could look back now and go, God, I was sleeping, man. I did not make conscious choices. It seemed at the time that they were consciously being made, but they had no idea the repercussion, what could happen down. They just, you just know when you're sleeping versus being awake. So I realized very quickly I was bringing in a lot of dark attachments and energy and experiences that would surround me, and started to ripple out into my family as I became a mother, especially, and you have young kids. So I'm like, ooh, no, I gotta get right with the light. So now I'm trying to find my way back to the light. But I kept having one foot in, one foot out. And over a period of time, I just kind of got lost in the mundane. But I know that the things that I would do in life was always based around helping people, like counseling people. They would just naturally gravitate towards me, and even enemies. I remember strictly 2 experiences in my life where somebody was very, very mean to me. And the moment that they needed help, I was like, oh my God, what could I do for you? This is so horrible. And they've even asked, like, why are you being nice to me? I said, because you need help. I'm like, it doesn't matter what you did to me before, but I saw their heart. I saw their need. And that transcended the need to hold a grudge or something. So that was just kind of an energy that would always be innate in me, is to help others. Again, how I helped, I didn't have a purpose or an avenue of like, this is what I want to do for my life. But through my own pain in my body, I knew that I needed to get some help. And I didn't even understand the massage world at this time. This is probably about 17, 18 years ago. And through my own journey, I'd go, like, for example, I'd go to the doctor and they'd say, oh, yes, you're having tension. Here's a pill. And I'm like, okay, but what are you going to do with it? I'm like, I think I need somebody to touch me. and they wouldn't. They just wrote that little prescription out, slap it, and off I go. And I remember taking some of the muscle relaxers they gave me. I did not like the sensation. I like to be very coherent and my thoughts be running at optimal speed, and also my reflexes, but that wasn't the case. Didn't like the feel. So I'm like, nope, that's not the way. Okay, I know what is. I have insurance. So I'll go to what my insurance provides, which is a chiropractic care. And so then I went in physical therapy, okay, a little bit of a combination. I go there, 12 sessions in. I'm experiencing a lot of burning in my back, a lot of tension. And I'm thinking they're going to touch me. They're going to do it. I just feel like somebody's got to get in there. I get laid down, put some electrodes on me, and then they left me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So no one's really here in the room with me. I'm by myself, and I'm on some stimulus. Okay. 12 sessions later, oh my God, I still got some pain in my back. What's happening right now? I think that I really need to get touched. and so I wasn't working at the time. I was actually going to college full time. And I said, well, I don't really have any money, but I'm going to have to spend some money. So I find this lady, and she was a little pricey for what I thought that at where I was at in my life. But I'm thinking she'll know what to do. So I go up into her place. It was so beautiful. She had all these dim lights. She had angel figurines. I'm thinking, oh, this lady's like a spiritualist. She's my kind of lady, right? Because I've always been really drawn into this kinds of stuff. So she goes to do her thing. Like I said, I have a lot of pain in my back, thinking, yeah, she's going to stay there. So she starts in on her thing, and then next thing you know, she moves to the other part of the body. And I'm thinking, do I say something? But I don't know the etiquette. So I'm quiet, thinking, oh, she'll be back. She'll be back. Next thing you know, I'm waiting for her to come back, and then the massage is over. 90 minutes later, I'm like, what just happened? Like, she literally never came back. But the problem's still there. And I don't know what to say because I'm just new. I don't understand. I'm uncomfortable. So I leave. And I'm like, well, that was a waste. But now I still feel like I have to have somebody touch this. So I'm going to go around too. I'm going to try this again. So I find someone else, and she's very attentive. She's listening. It's a completely different experience. Bright light, like linens in the room on a wire rack. There's a CD player just sitting right there in my face so I can see what she's doing. Not this welcoming energy as far as ambiance, but the therapist happened to pay attention to what I was saying. She stays in my back the whole time. I'm like, oh my God, she's actually working and she's staying there. Now she's starting to do something and I'm starting to feel relief. So let's just fast forward because now she's listening. I want to go back again. I'm 4 sessions in with her and I'm so impressed. And I told her, I said, how do you know where to go? And she goes, it's magic. They're just calling out to me. I'm like, it must be magic because you know where I hurt, but how do you know? So in my body, it feels like magic is happening. And then I had this epiphany on the table and I said, I know what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to make people feel like she made me feel. She listened to me. She loved me. She got me out of the pain. She had a nice rapport with me. And she was connected and I said, I have to do this. And I told her. And she said, you can do this, Cathy. And I'm like, you think I could do this? I'm like, are you really? And I get really excited. She says, yeah, you could do this. And I'm thinking, well, she says I can do this. I mean, she's like a magician over here. Then I can do this. So a week later, I go get enrolled and see about schooling. Got myself in. I do not massage people outside. Like, it was not a thing in my life except for my kids. I'm like, I just knew when they'd get hurt, I would hold it and I would energetically connect with that. I was working energy work before I even knew what I was getting myself into. But at the same time, I ended up getting involved there was a friend of the family, and she mentioned to my mom, we were having a luncheon, and she says, yeah, I'm working with this shaman. And my ears perked up, like, shaman? Oh my God, you know a shaman? I got to know a shaman. I've got to get in on this. And she was doing something called angel Reiki. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just tingling. I'm thinking, I have to know angel Reiki. I have to know the shaman. I don't know what's happening right now, but at that time in my life, I started to have a spiritual awakening. And this was in my later 20s. And it was a really intense spiritual awakening for me. Kind of like a feeling of life and death. Like there better be more to this life than what's happening up till there, because this is what was happening prior to my spiritual awakening wasn't working. And I was in a lot of depression, in a lot of pain, a lot of bad choices. So this was a godsend, and just to follow the path. But I knew through, just kind of back up a little bit before that, I knew that there was something more powerful than the work that we're doing as far as connecting like through a modality. And that was connecting to our higher selves or a higher spiritual path, and asking for help. So I don't know how lengthy you want me to get on this, but prior to that, I was experiencing pretty much depression from the time I was 13 up until that moment when I was in my late 20s. And there was a certain event in my life that just because of perception left me on that left path instead of going down the right path for me. That would have been a really happy, awesome life. But I just remember praying so hard and so fervently with my life of like pleading. I wouldn't say praying, I would say pleading to God that there must be another way to live. And I remember that night, I felt like a warm hand went in through my body and laid its hand upon my heart. And it took away all the sadness. It took away all the pain. And it took away the depression. And it woke me up. It woke me up. I'm on my knees. I'm crying. And instantly the crying stopped because there was such a soothing sense of peace that overcame my whole being. And I knew there's something more. And with that, it led me to the path to open up to the rest of it. So I knew that when I do my work, that we have to connect to the spiritual part of a person, because without that spiritual part of the person being connected back to, they don't have a chance. Because we need that part of ourselves that's the true part of ourselves, not just the human being having the experience, but the whole part of us that's watching over us, helping and guiding us. And people can have different names, it doesn't matter. But I know everyone has this innate feeling that there is something beyond just them. And so that was the beginning of my true journey with that spiritual awakening, and just kind of led me on my path to continue moving and growing in my craft and the things that, I want to touch base because I think this is kind of funny for me of what got me into hypnosis.
Okay.
Do you mind if I share now?
No, go for it.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
So, as I told you before, I was kind of more into that occult stuff. I was more into like the witchcraft stuff, but not in like the Glenda the Good Witch stuff. No. So, and I'm always in the scary movies. Whatever can scare me is what I wanted. So, I was watching The Exorcist. I, for some reason, loved that show when I was younger, but then I was watching Exorcist 2. And in Exorcist 2, they took the young girl into a past life regression. And I thought, okay, so I remember the metronome. Just, they had a strobe light on her, and they were like, she was in this strobe light to just induce this trance. And then all of a sudden they show a scene where she starts to fly in Egypt. And she's over the lands, and she's over this completely different place. And it ignited something in me so strong. I said, oh my God, I want to do regression. I want to do past life work. And I was probably about 13 at the time. But I remember I wanted to do hypnosis, so I was practicing here and there, but I never really went too far because I didn't know what I was doing. But I was trying to hypnotize my friends, and it was just something that I knew innately, I must do this. So because I was sleeping most of the time, I forgot that was the path I wanted to take. I wanted to be a paranormal investigator, actually. A paranormal psychologist is what the term was. I remember when I was about 18, and I wanted to go that route. But of course, I didn't want to put in any of the effort that it would take at that time in my life to become the parapsychologist part. And again, I needed to kind of turn a little bit direction because I was working with the lower frequencies. And as I've worked where I'm working now, I have raised my vibrations and understood frequencies and understood what we're playing in when we're working in the occult, that it's a different vibration that can cause a lot of ruckus because we're now working with darker, I would say, energies that don't have our well-being in their whatever. They don't want us to live, thrive, or whatever.
It's like the fragmented pieces of people's spirits that got left behind from the most traumatic moments of their life.
Oh, yeah. We have all of us. We have the earthbound spirits that were left. We have other fear realms that entities can come in and out of because we, as a collective people, launch so much fear that it grows itself into its own entity. And there's dimensional spaces that it resides in and comes in and attaches to people when they're not feeling well, when they're really in a lower state of emotional being. So I needed to get out of that state, and I didn't want to continue playing in that realm because I knew that it wasn't healthy for me. But it also helped me recognize what's really out there. So when I'm working with somebody who is not doing well emotionally, they're usually getting bombarded with a lot of thoughts from spirits that are wherever they're from. For me, it really doesn't matter where they're from as much as the message that they carry with them. And if people are listening to their messages in their ears, thinking that it's their own voice talking back at them, to understand the difference is the stuff that I teach, is to recognize what is the person's thoughts versus the thoughts that an influence a non-physical being's influence in that person's mind. So it's very important to understand the difference. So we can say, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to believe what's being said just as it's coming through my mind. I get to understand, first of all, is this me or someone else? Then we can go from there. But that show, wrapping back to that particular movie, is what prompted me to want to do past lives.
See, what's interesting about what you were just talking about is I've asked this on my show so many times. It's like, where in your head, in your own actual noggin, do you feel like your thoughts come from? Because there's a certain spot in your own head. Like if I sit there and I close my eyes and I think about it, it's like right in the middle of my brain, kind of like it used to be like down towards the back and the bottom of my brain, but now it's kind of towards the middle and the top. Whenever I get a message that's not, like whenever I get a thought that's not mine, it always comes across my forehead.
Interesting.
So that's one thing that I've always told people. It's like, where do your thoughts come from? Where in the physical location in your noodle, where do your thoughts come from?
It really does make a difference.
And if you can recognize, hey, wait a minute, these thoughts are coming from the left side of my head and my thoughts normally come from the right, that's kind of weird. At that point, you can recognize, oh, okay, something's off here.
I find that for me, when I get messages from spirit, they'll tend to come in. Well, it kind of really depends. When, but they'll come up behind my right ear in my temporal space, in my temporal lobe. But I do recognize that it more often than not, it's just it seems to be like a random thought, a random phrase, a random whatever. It just hits like that. It's not something that I have that has unfolded because of one thing and then it led to another and then it led to another. That's my own thoughts, my own processes. But when I hear information that is from an outside source other than me, it will come in out of nowhere. And so I'm like, oh, that was interesting. Like, whether it be even just a tune to a song. I get a lot of messages from spirit in the phrases of songs because I love music. And I can refer to, it's like they speak to me like, in, it was Transformers, how that, what was the yellow car's name? Bumblebee, how he uses a radio to speak because he uses phrases. And I get a lot of messages like that. So it is where they're getting them. I love that you asked them that. I think it's very important for them to recognize. And again, it is the message. Any time that we're getting a message that is harmful, that would bring a sense of discord to our physical body and our emotional body that says, ooh, that's not nice. That's berating. That's beating me up a little bit. It's either our belief system, which is pretty much the same thing. It doesn't really matter if it's coming from our own belief system that we feel badly about ourselves or from an outside influence. But we do have a difference to say if it's an outside influence, they usually talk, I think, from my experience, you. Like, you're not good enough. Nobody wants you. It's a you form because they're talking to you instead of in the I form, like, I can't do anything right. Nothing that will work out for me because I. That's more, for me, a person that has those belief systems instilled within them already, from whether it be an opinion formed from an authority figure over time, whether it be a caretaker, parents or something important to them, versus an outside non-physical influence that is trying to destroy them from the inside out. It is, again, all in the message. It's like if a being from light that was here for your well-being, or I would say my well-being, then they're going to have a message that's going to assist me in finding peace, assist me in having my best life. Those are the only voices or thoughts that I want to listen to because they're out of love. The message is loving. And it's going to feel loving because my body is going to respond in cue of saying, okay, I feel peaceful with that message. I feel right about what that feels like. I'm not in flux. I'm not in anxiety. I'm not in fear. I'm not in doubt. Any of those other messages that come with fear, doubt, anxiety are not what we want to listen to and not believe, because those are lies. Ultimately, what I have come to understand with working with the spiritual realm with my own team is to identify what truth is versus lies. And our emotional body is the barometer for that. It merely tells us when we're hearing something that's good for us, that's in alignment with us, or something that's not in alignment, and stop listening and say, no, I'm not going to listen to you. You need to leave, and not give them permission to have that power. But so often I find that as a human being, we believe the thought that's coming in our mind to be our own, because it either comes in our voice or it's being said to us. So why not believe it? But that's the trick. That's the lie. We don't need to believe that, because it's not even coming from the light. It's coming from a dark place that's lacking love. And if it doesn't have love connected with the message, why on earth would we give validation and power to that? Because it's harmful.
Yeah, well, see, you're touching on something that I had a conversation with someone else on my show a few episodes back about this, about different types of entities. And I don't necessarily disbelieve in entities. What I do believe in, and I think is far more common than an actual, like an entity from another place coming at you and trying to like mess you up. What I think is more common is it's like a splinter of ourself. I was doing something with this woman named Fiona Harris, called core transformation. Basically, it's like a spiritual version of neurolinguistic programming. I was doing that, and I accidentally slipped into this past life of being a lion.
Mm-hmm.
And skipping over the whole life, because I've talked about it on my show a million times. What I was working on with this core transformation is anxiety, because I used to have really bad anxiety about my kids, and it was located right here, right above my belly button. It's all the time, just like squeezing horrible anxiety. And what this lion part of myself told me was like, look, it's like a scavenger, but it's not outside of yourself. It's part of you. And it's like he described it as if it was like his own paw that had, instead of being useful to like, I guess like kill things, it was reaching and he showed me an image basically of a paw holding on to his own stomach from his own body. And now he's like, this is what's happening to you. And so I've kind of like come to the conclusion that like, yes, I'm sure that there are like bottom feeder entities out there that like to basically eat your crappy energy. But I kind of, for whatever reason, get the sense that a lot of the time when you're getting these, it may be an entity, but it might just be yourself. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Coming out and then coming back around, and basically you're sucking your own energy and wasting it, creating all this stuff. So to deal with it, it's all about healing, right? All healing is self-healing. Because if I heal Ian, I'm going to heal Cathy, and I'm going to heal whoever else out there, because it's all part of the same thing, right? And that's kind of where I'm thinking a lot of this stuff comes from. I'm kind of lucky because I have a condition called aphantasia. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so it's kind of interesting. Aphantasia is the inability to create images in your own head. So I don't have like a voice in my head talking to myself. I can't see anything in my head. Can't hear anything. It's just dark and quiet.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. It's kind of nice.
I know a lot of people would say, oh, that sounds nice. No thoughts bombarding me and keeping me up and driving me mad because I have so many thoughts and I can't seem to control my thoughts.
Yeah.
And you're over here hearing, not even in crickets, nothing.
Not even. I can't even imagine what a cricket sounds like in my head. It's nice. I used to hate it.
So how did you get that imagery of the lion?
See, that's the question.
Is it just a sense of knowing?
Yeah, that's the question. I just say things.
Because there is a I would say an extrasensory perception, but it's just that clear knowing, that clear cognizance that allows us just to know information, because it doesn't have to come in the form of vision or sound, but it can just come in that, well, that's just how it is. I don't know how, I just know. This is the information coming in for me.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder.
Interesting.
Like, because I don't have voices coming at me and whispering in my ear or whatever, because I don't even have my own self-talk.
Yeah, and this is a lot of times, a lot of people will hear it as inside their mind, not necessarily outside, because the way energy works is that I can hear, I pick up, I'm a very good receiver, so I pick up on a lot of people's information that they're doing. And my husband and I, we have an amazing connection, and we're constantly having telepathy all the time. It is so ridiculous that we're just like, of course it is. Of course we thought the same thing. Of course we said the same phrase. Oh, I had a song going through my mind that I haven't heard. I can't even tell you in how many decades. Just a phrase kept going and cycling, and he starts to say and sing the same thing. I'm like, of course you did. You heard it, and we do these things all the time. So we can pick up on each other's, even though we're all living. It doesn't have to be a non. The thing of it is that we were in a collective sea of energy, a collective sea of thoughts. And depending on how receptive we are, I could be picking up from somebody down the street that is either really super happy or really super unhappy. But if I'm not careful, I can be open up as the receptor that I am, and think that it's mine. So for me, I have to be able to teach my clients how to understand their energy from someone else's. How a thought, when it comes in, again, like I said, doesn't matter where the thought comes as far as I'm concerned. The difference is the message. Do you want to keep and hold on to that? Is it really, really positive, empowering, encouraging? Or is it debilitating, keeping you in fear, keeping you doubtful of a person's place in their life? And that's where I'm here to challenge is the message, not necessarily where it's coming from, and also help people to strengthen their own energy field so they're solid in their own space and not being so open to the things that are flying around. I mean, we have not just the radio waves and electric waves and whatever, particles that are happening on any type of frequencies, but there's so much information happening that it's really important to figure out what we want to take in and what we don't, how we want to perceive it. We want to perceive it in the way that it's coming, or we want to turn it around into something that's going to work for self. So, I mean, I had this experience where I had like another fraction of me, a fractal piece of me that I didn't integrate with from a long time ago, and it was creating me a certain feeling inside that I wasn't able to understand. So if I didn't see that part of my life that I disconnected with, that part of my soul stream of incarnate that I had, it was wanting to be processed, wanting to be integrated with me. And thankfully I was able to go and work with somebody to see it, to identify it, and to integrate back with it. And then I was like that sense of wholeness. So it's not always, like you said, entities. It's not always somebody else's thoughts, and it can be our own. It's our belief systems. It's just so much about the way we feel, right? You're feeling that anxiety at that time in your life. You want to be able to find out. You found out where it was coming from. Did it subside?
Yeah, it's been a lot better. It used to literally ruin my life. I would wake up in the middle of the night, go into my son's room, pull him out of his bed, and sit on the chair and like cry. Like, real moment for my audience here. I would just like sob and be like, oh, I'm gonna love my son.
Like, can you protect your son? Is he okay? And that. So a lot of that, even being an animal, in a pride, right? And being a lion, they're in that protective mode. They're in that family unit, but sometimes that somebody can come in from another pride, and come in and even kick out the young ones if they're not strong enough. They have to dominate, and if it's a male, so many things can happen in the animal kingdom that it can, if you didn't process it, you bring it over into this incarnation. So,
well, I mean,
not saying that was your particular experience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hey everyone, I'm interrupting the episode to tell you all about my Patreon campaign. I love doing this podcast, and it is amazing to hear from people telling me how much they love it too. It takes a ton of time and effort to keep producing content every single week for you guys, and I would love to put out even more for everyone to enjoy. By subscribing to a tier in my Patreon campaign, you can help support the show, provide more episodes, bonus episodes, behind the scenes content, and just extra content in general. So if you enjoy the show and you feel it's worth your time listening and would like to contribute, you can go to patreon.com/the regression session. There's also a link in the description. Thanks so much for the support. I could never do this show without each and every one of you. Now back to the episode. I had some issues that I had to work through.
Well, thank God you worked through them.
Seriously, I was tired of it. And I used to take, and for my audience, this is in no way me telling anybody to not take anxiety medicine if you need it. Like, I personally believe like all this stuff should be used in combination with traditional medicine until you can get to a point where you don't need the anxiety medicine anymore. And
I agree with that.
And that's where I was taking 2 different anxiety pills. They were basically sedating me. And I remember the first time I took it, I took the pill and like 10 minutes later, I literally started crying to my wife and my brother, who they both lived with me. And I was like, it's so nice not to feel like I'm gonna die.
I bet.
And then so like slowly, like working through this stuff, it's really helped me out to realize that we can like cure anxiety. The anxiety stuff, I don't think it's always necessarily a permanent thing. I don't think that people necessarily need to be stuck on pills their whole life. Like, there's a process that kind of we go through where we can get off the anxiety medicine and kind of become more holistic healing. And that's what my show is all about, exploring healing. Yes,
I agree. I agree that there's, like I said, I work with the emotional body. That's my main subject that I greatly enjoy. But again, I'm only working solely to teach, because I believe that each of us carries something within us, information that we're here to share with the world. And as a healing practitioner, I have a slice. I just have a slice. I don't have the whole answer, but I do have something that I was given to specifically from me, Cathy, to share with others. Just as you, Ian, has something specific to you that you are going to share with others. And then again, rippling out to every other practitioner and person in the world. We all have to share and connect our knowledge that we contain, our experiences, to see it from another perspective, to maybe say, you know what, I never thought that way, or I never saw it to be that way, but you know what, it makes sense and it feels better. But my particular piece is the emotional body and how it governs our experience, because when we're thinking a certain way, a situation to be a certain way and have a certain perception, it will either create discord in us because we're seeing it as something that was very harmful, very scary, very just whatever it may be. It could have very well been very painful, very harmful. But if we don't learn to take and understand the lesson in it, and or learn how to see it from a higher perspective, and because every situation has a different way to view it. It just does. And when we understand, for example, that we've been wounded by someone else, that they did it to us, and just that very word of saying they did this to me, they hurt me, and then we have all these thoughts that go towards that person that is just as dark and horrible as the ones that came to us in the first place. Now we're just creating a cycle. And there's no justification in the cycle, whether it be I'm justified to feel bad and hateful towards you because you were hateful and bad towards me and hurt me. It's the same energy on 2 different sides of the coin, and everybody feels justified. The perpetrator feels justified somehow, and the victim feels justified. And at the end of the day, it keeps us stuck and cycling in the pain. So my job is to say, okay, so that happened to you. Now, how are you going to let it continue to dictate and define you? And then you put out the same energy. Is that working? Or is that making you feel bad and keeping you stuck in that? And so when we're able to understand a different way to perceive it, to say, oh, that person hurt me, obviously was very hurt themselves, and hurt people, like my daughter likes to say. And I said, that's very true. Hurt people until that person's learning to embody love and tap into their own source energy that has nothing but love, and we're able to open up and receive that love after we bypass the belief system that we're not worthy of the love, because there's so many people I find they don't feel worthy of love because someone's told me something in my life that made me feel like I believe what their opinion is. And when it's out of a negative context and it's out of pain, then it's not coming from love. But maybe tomorrow that person was really awesome to us, but we forget, oh, that person wasn't hell 24/7. We're not all bad and evil people 24/7. We have our moments, and some people have less moments than others, of course. But if we are able to stop the cycle, that is for me, my purpose is to stop this cycle and say, hey, when we're going to bring in the love? When are we going to bring in the truth? And again, keep those lie-based thoughts and experiences in where they belong, which is they don't have the foundation to keep them going. They have to kind of like fuel themselves through constant thinking about them. People go, well, this happened to me 20 years ago, and this is why I'm this way today. Well, where did you lose your power, and where have you not gained your power to say, no, I have the ability to make choices for myself based on a different paradigm, a different idea about self. And that's for me, the job is to find that little line in between, that little opening in between that says, yeah, let's shift out of that old paradigm of thought and self, belief about self, into one that works for you, works for the person coming in. And then we can start to manifest a good life. But it's really about challenging those messages. Being as empathic, because we have degrees of empathy. And some of us are so sensitive that, like for me, I would not only feel other people's feelings, I would take on their actual ailments and manifest that in my own body. But it was really cool at first because I'm like, oh, I can feel that. Oh, you're having that. But until I said, oh, for example, my daughter, she was having a problem in her throat that was really bothering her. And so I'm sensing her energetically. Next thing I know, I'm starting to feel it in my throat. And she's, oh, I feel so much better, Mom. Thanks. I'm like, well, now I got it. And she's like, I'm sorry, but thanks, Mom, because I feel a lot better now. And I'm like, and I remember, if I may share, actually, this is a really cool experience that I want to share with your audience. Okay, this is very, very important to understand energy, how it works.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about
how
it.
real it is. So when I was working, because I've kind of gotten away from the massage therapy world, although I still do practice and I'm very good at what I do because of my desire to go in and remove the pain for real. Like, let's not just make you feel good for a second. Let's get this pain out and get you going and stop coding and imprinting for the energy that's behind this thing. So anyways, I'm working with my friend. I worked with a client that I have worked with for several years. But today, this particular day, we are going to do a foot detox. And we put him in the foot detox beforehand. Then we go and did the massage. So I'm noticing, because we had done our own foot detoxes, and I know my colors, like little gremlin colors. I feel like it's a little gremlin in there. And I'm like, oh, that's... And then my friends was little gremlin colors. And I'm like, is this thing real? Like, or does it just make this color? And then it gives us a chart of different colors and what they mean. And so now I'm kind of thinking that this thing is just a quackery deal. Okay.
So real quick, could you explain what the foot detox is?
Okay, a foot detox, they use an ionizer. It's called an ionizer, and it takes the negative ions and the positive ions, and through the feet, the soles of the feet, it will draw out impurities.
So it's a machine.
It's a machine. And
like
it's a
an
bucket,
ion machine.
It's an ion machine. You put your foot in a bucket of water. You stick the ionizer inside the water. It just looks like this little pod. And you put it in the water. And then you set the machine on. You sit back, you relax, and drink your electrolytes as you go. And eventually it just starts to radiate out little bubbles. But then you'll start to see different colors start to formulate. And I realized and understood that it was the particles of the different frequencies that are in our organs. We have different frequencies in them, and they will be different. And they all sort of just to come together and start to create this different kinds of colors, okay? So now we're sitting there for 30 minutes. We have our impurities that are being pulled out through our feet. I don't know exactly to the science of it, but that's what I know to be happening. So
it's very interesting.
I've
never even heard of that before.
Well, check this out, because when I'm about to tell you what this is, you may want to go out and get one.
Okay.
Because When I was, for the first time, when this individual, he had had his feet in there, I'd never seen colors like this because I usually see green. Like I said, you guys know what a gremlin is. Gremlin, the one that you feed after midnight, that one. Not the gizmo mogwai, cute little one. No, this is the scaly green, yucky, bubbly one. So I saw this wonderful yellow coming out. And I'm like, yellow? I've never seen yellow. I look at the chart. It's like prostate, kidney stuff. Okay. I'm like, well, makes sense. He's a man, prostate. Okay, great. Kidney stuff. Okay, wonderful. I never had that, so I guess I don't have any problems with my kidney. And it was, because in my mind, I think it was the liver. So he's got this wonderful color with a little bit of hint of something else, and it was pretty much majority that. And I'm like, wow, that was really cool. So maybe this thing does do something different. Go to get him on the massage table, and I'm probably about half an hour in, and I feel the energy running up my hands, into my arms, into my shoulders, into my body, and I'm starting to feel like I was going through rigor mortis. I started to feel I could barely move my arm, my shoulder to do, and I almost stopped the massage. I was in so much pain. I felt like I was just dying. And I was like, you can do this, Cathy. You can do this. You can do this. Just keep going because, this guy like set up 90 minutes with you. You don't want to disappoint him because you cannot handle this. And I just was creeping into my whole body and I could feel it. And again, when I say rigor mortis, I'm not kidding. It was hard to move. So by the time we get done, he leaves and I sit on the couch and I'm like, oh my God, Gohar, which is my friend Gohar. I go, I am broken. Like I feel so broken right now. I went to lean forward just to put a cup of water that I had onto the table and I could barely move, like, oh my God, because my lower back was so painful. I had to go so slow to put it. I said, no, seriously, I'm broken. She goes, Cathy, go and do the foot detox. And I said, no, I can't even move. You don't even know. I feel so much pain. She said, no, Cathy, go put it in your feet into the foot detox. And I'm thinking for a second, like, well, nothing to lose. Can you please go get it ready for me? Because I'm in so much pain right now. So she goes and gets it ready for me. I sit and put my feet in water. Instant yellow's coming out now. And I'm like, these are not my colors. Okay. So she puts me on for 45 minutes. It's normally a 30-minute experience. And I'm sitting there watching this other person's colors come out of me. This is not mine. I know mine. I've done it several times. And as I would say about 15 minutes or so into it, then my back starts to unhinge. And I can start to move it. Now I'm like swaying back and forth going, oh my God. Now my body's, more time goes, I can move my shoulders again. I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling amazing now. I can move my body. More his stuff's come out of me. I feel now energized. About the last 10 minutes was my stuff. Now my colors are starting to come out. By the time I got done with this thing, I wanted to sprint, Ian. I wanted to sprint. I wanted to go outside and run. I felt so good. No more pain in my body. I said, can I swear?
I don't care.
I said, holy shit. Like, this stuff is real. Like, energy, oh my God, is so real, is so tangible that I got to see it in real life, in color. Because I can feel, because I remember I used to work with people. I would feel little particles come up and it felt like sand was being thrown in my face and it would get in my eyes. And there was so much grit in my eyes when I would move people's energy and would just start to just float up like little particles of dust, but like sand grains. And it would feel like cobwebs on my face. And I just want to like pull the cobwebs off, but I can't. And I just realized at that time in my life, I was really pulling in a lot of people's stuff because I wasn't understanding energetically how to keep myself in my own energy field. I was so open that I didn't know me from other people. I was just, come on, bring it on. I'll take it all for you. And not even realizing, I just thought, oh yeah, I know what they're feeling. Yeah, I'm feeling it in my body right now. Your left hip's bad, your shoulder's bad, your neck. Well, I started to become so riddled with people's stuff. I'm like, I've got to do something because as an energy practitioner, I've got to learn my way through this. We're just not born out the gate. Oh, I know what I'm doing. No, we got to learn what we're doing. So I had to learn trial and error of how to, I don't like the word to protect myself so much from other people as I would like to say to create my own energy field with my energy to be so strong that others don't stick to me. And I also can feel if I'm saying, okay, you're coming in my space, but we can communicate energetically through just thought. And they'll back off. If I say, back off, then they'll back off. Or if I feel myself going into somebody else's field and probing them, I'm like, pull it in, Cathy, pull it in, because sometimes we energetically are doing things we don't recognize and realize until we're tuning in. So anyways, back to the story. It was awesome. I knew at that point energetically, we are dealing with real stuff. It's not a figment of our imagination. I have come into contact with people who would say otherwise, that that's just, we're making it up. I'm like, no, my friend, we're not making this up, because I have literally, like I was telling you with my daughter, pulled in her stuff, and because my energy body was created to process and to transmute energy. It takes me a couple of days sometimes. I can feel like I'm really taken down. I feel probably about 50 pounds heavier. Sometimes when I feel like the person needs some assistance, I'll pull that into my body and transmute it. It's I don't need to, and I kind of want to bring something to the attention. What I've come across, there used to be an old way where people would say, put it into the earth, ground to the earth, give her all that negativity. And I'm going to say we need to stop that, because the earth is already suffering. She's very sad. I felt her energy. I've experienced her sadness, and it's overwhelming. For those of you who have tapped into her, I know you know what I'm talking about. We need to stop giving her our garbage, because we can transmute it ourselves and bring it and transmute it into a light that goes back to creation. And doesn't have to be sent just transmute it. That's it. If you need somebody to help you transmute it, that's wonderful. But it needs to be lightened, the load lightened. So
I always have people send it out the top of their head.
That's wonderful.
Into the sun.
Yeah.
To be burned up, like with the intention of burning up the negativity.
That's wonderful.
Because if it's going to be burned, might as well.
That refiner's fire, it cleanses. The fire is very cleansing. But the earth, she just needs to break. So let's send it up and outwards, and let's transmute it. And
send
again,
it into the
refiner's
sun,
the sun. The sun's got that beautiful radiation that is healing for us. So that was a great place to put it, to go get healed. And but energy works very real.
Yeah.
We need it. We have an energy body that, again, will collect. We have energy information that's ours, that we need to continue processing, because as a physical body, we're here to process our stuff. And as we do past life regressions, if we're not processing the emotion, and it is our emotions, please listen to when I say it is our emotions that need to be processed, and our perspectives need to be transmuted. Because if we're in a incarnation from our past, for example, that we did not process, when we reincarnate again, we will have an opportunity to do that. That's why a lot of people will pattern from a past life into this current life, and they will not understand why they keep getting the same experience. Like, why am I pulling in narcissists, or why am I pulling in abuse, or why am I pulling in whatever it is you're pulling in? Because we need to not run away from our emotions, not try to suppress our emotions, not ignore them, because they will scream so loud. That's when the anxieties are out the roof. That's when the pain, the depression's out the roof. All your body is trying to do, and your emotional body is saying, hey, look at me, listen to me. I want to be processed and understood and listened to. And then find out what I'm gaining and growing from. Because if we're not processing, guess what? We're not growing. We're staying stuck, and we're not evolving.
Well, a huge habit of humanity, and I've had this same exact conversation so many times over the last week or so. A huge habit that people have is they'll take their emotions and they'll be like, I need to get this out of my head, or I need to stuff this down in a bag.
Oh, gosh.
And excuse me, I've been waiting for an opportunity to use this metaphor for a long time now. It's kind of a base example. It's going to make me sound like a nasty redneck, but that's okay. So it's like, for everybody out there, the second you're like, oh man, I'm feeling so angry today, or I'm just feeling anxious today, I need to get that out of my mind. It's like this. Imagine that you really have to go poop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of like going and taking care of it and finding a toilet and going poop, you're just like, I'm just going to hold it in.
I'm just going to hold it in.
And ignore it.
It will
right?
go back up inside of me, right?
See, and here's the thing though. It's like, wouldn't it be better if you just, like, if you don't go find a toilet and go poop, eventually you're going to have to change your underwear and it's a lot more messy.
And or you become so blocked and clogged up because now the sphincter's done. It's like, oh, no, we'll put it back up there and we'll just jam pack it. And then they have like, oh my God, my stomach is so hurting. Why am I so constipated? Come on, people. We don't want to reverse the process, okay?
What's easier, to just go to the bathroom?
Yeah, relieve yourself.
Or like change your pants and underwear, and then you have to get in the shower, and it takes so much more time, and it's so much more messy when really you could just go poop.
I'm glad we're having this conversation, Ian. Like I seriously need to have this conversation because there are so many people that think that if they stuff it back in or stuff it down, however you want to see it, if you want to see it Ian's way, then please look at that and visualize it, because you don't want that, right? Or, and then have it, now you have what, like 10 times stuffed up there and compacted, that when you try to process it, now you have a floodgate, okay? It is not pretty. It is never pretty. And you have so much pain associated with it because, as we all know, there is a real birthing pain if you're going to relieve yourself, and if it's been a long time. People go to the doctors because they have where they get like abscess, they can get like infections, and you can literally bursting, die. You can die, okay? And what happens is that people spiritually die. We are given what's called a threefold flame in our heart. It's a spiritual connection. It's a real flame of energy, of life force. And I remember when I was experiencing my depression, I knew innately that there was a flame, that it was almost doused out. It was so dim that if I did not continue, and if I did not wake up or something had to change, my flame would be gone and I would be a walking corpse. And I know there's so many walking corpses out there that they're just don't know what to do with themselves. They feel stuck, and they keep doing the same thing over and over again and going, I don't know what to do. I can't get out of this. But you can get out of it. And that's the message I want to bring, is that you can do anything you believe you can. Period. If you can, you will. If you say you can, you will. It is only a belief system. A belief system can be broken down and rebuilt into something better. This is a world of illusion. We are creating our experiences as we go by every thought that we think. We are creating some kind of an emotional response. When you have an emotional response, you're going to have an action that is based on a thought. It can be either explosive and destructive, or it can be explosive and constructive. It can be either one, but you can't live in the middle. Living in the middle means you're not growing at all. If you're being destructive with your life and your creative thought that we were given, that is so beautiful, then you're not creating the life that you want. You're creating more suffering. I mean, great. Sometimes people like to suffer. Hey, if you're going to suffer, they'll suffer like on purpose. Like you said, do the anxiety on purpose, suffer on purpose, and really enjoy that shit. Embody it until you're done. When you feel done, then you're going to go and say, what else is there to experience? But really own this shit. Own it, because when you own it, you're in alignment with it. There's no more double-mindedness where you have this tug of war. Like, I want to really have a good life, but I feel like I can't. Well, there's the suffering is not being able to do one or the other. Choose a side and get in it. Get all the way in it, 100% in it. Choose a side. And you'll feel better for doing it. If you're going to do that drug and enjoy it. Don't do that drug and go, I shouldn't be doing drugs. I got to get off. Because then you have this suffering, like I should be doing good, but I'm not doing good. Now I'm a bad person. There's all this tug of war of thought, right? So, yeah, like if you're going to do the medication, like Ian said, get on the anxiety pill, that will give you an edge to take off. But the work has to be done to say, okay, I have that edge taken off. Now what will I do with this opportunity? Will I continue doing the same stuff that got me in this in the beginning, or will I try something new? Will I come to see a practitioner like Cathy or Ian who can take me and help us do something new? Yeah, I invite you to do that, because right now we need the guidance. We need to be able to come to people who have already been a little further on the path perhaps, or who experience something different that can bring another light to the subject, that can help bring some relief. But it takes doing the work. It takes empowering ourselves to say, I'm going to put some effort in my life, and I'm going to be consistent, because with any kind of beautiful transformation, we can either, like, for example, like martial arts, you have to practice all the time. They practice discipline. They practice consistency, because we must have the consistency in order to change the pattern. If we don't have the consistency and we try it once, twice, 3 times and go, it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because there was no consistency to repattern the neuroplasticity of our minds, to create that new neural pathway. And that's what we need, is the desire to first want to change. Once you have the desire to want to change, life will start showing up for you to bring you opportunities to change. And like both of us, Ian and myself, we're here to help with the change. I know for me, I've done a lot of work on myself. Like, I do not sit here before you and speak without doing a lot of my own processes. And I'm still always doing processes. If I find myself in some type of a negative spin, I will process right then and there, because it's in the middle of the spin out where we can change and make the most effect, the effectiveness happen with that transmutation of energies, to start asking yourself questions to get out of it, of what the truth really is. But there was something, I wanted, we were bringing about that processes that I wanted to also bring to light. It is very important to not be afraid of the emotions. You will not die from feeling and feeling, except but if your mind is wrapped around so hardcore around that negative thought, it can feel as if you might. And remember, it's our memories, number one, are in our imagination, are all housed in the same place, of the subconscious mind. And when our memories come through a filter, have you guys ever, you ever play that telephone game where you were given like a story, and the second person, you have to whisper in their ear story.
Yeah, there's the
and you have
telephone
10
game.
people, right, in the line. And by the time the end of the line, the story is completely different than the first person, because we only remember so much information our brain's going to take in that's relevant to us. And the moment you go to a person goes to say the story, it gets changed, and then the imagination will bring in and enter the gaps and fill in those gaps so it has a complete story. Now, this is one of the reasons why the police officers, when they see something happen, they will ask up to 3 different witnesses, because they know that the story is going to change. But what they're trying to do is gather the most information that seems that to be accurate to each other. And then the rest of it, they just have to filter out. That's the same thing with our experiences. If you think that you're remembering the same thing at 5 that happened, I guarantee every time you tell that story, because, we do like to tell stories of our pains. For some reason, people like to connect on their pain level, when really we should be not condoning people to be talking about their pain, except for them to be able to process and resolve it. I say, my son has a great saying, venting without resolution is just complaining. And if we're just complaining in the world and giving our poison to another person to complain to, without looking for resolution of how we can see it differently and work with it in a constructive manner, then we're just spewing poison to everybody in the ears that you're talking to at that time. And that's not fair to you or what you think is your friend or family that you might be talking to. We've got to be very proactive, constructive problem solvers and be the solution and not the problem. So
here's the thing too. Everybody, like I said, they have a really bad habit of sucking their poop back up into their body. And everybody, like, if I was listening 2 years ago to this conversation, I'd be like, wow, you guys are full of shit.
yeah,
like,
you're
full
sure.
of it. You're full of it. I know I am. But anyway.
10 years full of it, my friend.
Yeah, there you go. And people think that, like, it's this super mystical process. This super mystical thing where you're like, oh, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, actually, it's not that hard. Like, literally, like, I could do it right now. Like, everybody always talks about, well, you got to feel through it. Like, the method is simple. If you said you had literally any kind of a feeling that you wanted to work through, I've worked with people who said they were afraid to even go outside. I've worked with people who had anxiety. I've worked with people who had a feeling of not being good enough, or like feeling that they don't deserve love. I used to be like super, super fat, like way, way fat. And I was wondering like why I wasn't letting myself lose weight. So that's another example. I'm going to do this same technique with like why do I not allow myself to make as much money as I want to? You can literally be any kind of a feeling. What you have to do, it's so super simple, right? And I'm doing this so that people can have a place to start, because it's good to talk about it, but it's important for people to understand this is where I can start. You find the place in your body where that feeling lives. Okay, so if you had a feeling of, I don't know, well, let's go back to anxiety because it's super common. If I was like, Cathy, where in your body does this anxiety live? And this is like, I do this. This is the core transformation thing that I was talking to you about a little earlier. It's a little bit more complex than this, but there's you can work it on an easier basic level too. You find the spot where the anxiety lives, and then you're aware of it. But the next step is like the worst step, and you've just got to let it go. People put up walls, people shut doors, people block it out, but you just got to take all those down and let it flow through your entire body, from the tips to the tips of your toes, tips of your fingers, top of your head, everything. And that's the shittiest part. But you got to sit there and you got to like wallow in it for a minute. You just got to let it come through, let all that anxiety or fear or whatever it is just come through you. Once you feel that feeling, that's a part of yourself right there, right? Like we were talking about fractals and splinters of ourselves. That's a part of you. And wherever it lives, it like that part of you isn't necessarily trying to harm you or do you any harm, right? It's trying to do something for you. So you're going to find out like, okay, I'm feeling this feeling. What is this little part of me trying to accomplish by giving me this feeling? And just trust yourself with whatever comes through. So like, we'll go back to my anxiety thing that I did this with. It was like, I'm trying to feel safe or feel in control, right? It came down to control for me. So then Fiona Harris, who was the one doing the session for me, was like, okay, you've just wallowed in this anxiety. Like you felt it. I heard you hyperventilating. Now you've already felt the anxiety. Now move into feeling in control. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. It's like, even if you have to pretend, just move into feeling like you're in control. And you can embody that. You can take that same feeling of control or safety or feeling good enough or feeling wealthy or whatever it is. And you can spread that to your entire body too. And it's this concept of like, once you've eaten an orange, you can't untaste an orange. Everything that we're doing is happening right now. So when you're spreading these emotions to your body, you're experiencing them, and you can't untaste the orange. You can't unexperience them. Then you just want to work your way up this ladder of like, okay, now I've experienced being in control. What's the next best step on the ladder? What's that going to unlock for me? It's like, okay, so now I'm in control. Now I can live my best life. Okay, we'll do it. Like, feel what that feeling is going to feel like. Now what can you do? And then like I worked through a bunch of different steps, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, now I can show other people how to live their best life. And you just work all the way to the point where you're just existing. Once you reach the point of just existing, that's basically a trance state, and you can sit there for as long as you want to. And it's seriously like the best thing ever. So that's a super simple way to actually kind of accomplish what Cathy and I have been talking about. It's called the Core Transformation. There's actually a book on it. I'll link that book in the description for anybody listening. All right, Cathy. So you offer online sessions. You offer in-person sessions. How can people book a session with you or contact you to learn any of this wonderful information or have a conversation with you or whatever? What do you got going on?
Okay, so for those who are located in Utah, I am located in Clearfield. And I also do online sessions for those who are not located in Utah and you still want to book a session with me. You can go to consciousawakeningservices.com. It has all the information that you need, that you can book online your service there. If you happen to be at a different hour and you say, hey, I think I'm at 10 o'clock at night and I want to book a service, that option is there for you. So either come and see me in person, or again, I offer online services.
That's perfect. And like I said, earlier in this session, links to those are going to be in the description. If you feel drawn to working with Cathy or scheduling a session with her, please head on over to her website. She's a wonderful, beautiful soul.
Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. And Cathy, thanks again for coming on to my show.
My pleasure. Thank you again.
That's it for today's episode. I would like to thank Cathy for coming on to the show, and I would also like to thank you for tuning in. Head on over to my Facebook group, my subreddit, my Facebook page, my Instagram, whatever. You can get more Ian in your life. Definitely leave me a great rating and great review in your podcast player. And thank you so much to all of you who did that already. I read every single one of those, and they all give me the support I need to keep going. So thank you so much. And as always, if you want to come on the show, shoot me an email. My email is theregressionsession@gmail.com, and I would love to have you on the show. Yes, you, for coming on to the show as well. God damn it! Capri Sun.